chieftains who divided the country between them, and they ruled, and they established this parliament in 913. The first parliament in the world, which is still in working order. And but we have to bear in mind that establishing parliament was nothing new for Icelanders, because this was deeply rooted in the Germanic culture and the Germanic part of the world. So this was just their way of organizing the society. And in the beginning of the settlement, the majority of the people were of Osa religion. 1000, when it was decided at the Althing to make Iceland a Christian country. It was done unanimously after a wise man had sat down and slept on the matter, and he recommended that we would become Christian. So we have been Christian. Ended up under the Norwegian crown. The Norwegian king manipulated the situation and finally became the ruler. But in the 15th century, at the time, Denmark was occupied by the Germans. So this was a sensitive matter for them, because they had nothing. We were defended or occupied by the Americans in the Second World War, and I want to talk a little bit about that now, because the main harbor in the Second World War is coming up in front of us. It is the Whale Fjord, which was there was a lot of military activity in this fjord here. We will be driving under it. And the Americans, they came. The tunnel took 2 years in building, and they hit a good place, a good rock to dig through it, and it has been here for over 20 years. And actually this tunnel, because we go over the fjord and its opening, now we can firmly state that we are on the west coast of Iceland. You see Reykjavik here to your left, and the cruiser coming into harbor on the other side of the Faxa Bay. And the mountain you see there in the distance is the Reykjanes Ridge. And if you look at the cone there, this is where the volcanic outbreak was last year for 6 months. Yeah, we are on the other side of the Whale Fjord. The Whale Fjord reaches 25 kilometers inland, and there is an aluminium smelter in the fjord, and there is a ferrosilicon factory. using the electricity, and deep in the fjord is the only remaining whaling station in Iceland. It has not been in operation for 2 years, but I think they will be operating in this summer. And most of the whale meat and the whale is exported to Japan. That is the only market. The market in Iceland is so tiny that due to how few we are, so we have to try to export it. How that ended, and there has been a US base in Iceland on the at Keflavik on the Reykjanes Peninsula until 2006, when we were informed that the Cold War was over and they would be leaving, and they left. But when they had taken down the flag, a new flag was raised. That was the flag of NATO. Just to give you an indication, here is an aluminium smelter, of course, which is an important part of our export industries. But Iceland in the 20th century and even longer is mainly a fishing nation. See that is produced in Iceland is used by those smelters. And then in recent years the service industry has taken off. We tried with a devastating result to establish the country in the financial sector, but since then the tourist industry has been quite lively, and hopefully it is gaining the same strength it had before the COVID. But we were isolated here for 1.5 years, and almost no one came, and we were reminded how it is to live at sea. But we have managed to build up the country through the ages that we are quite self-sufficient with food, and we survived well under the COVID period because we have an agriculture which can produce milk, meat and vegetables, and so we manage quite well here. Iceland was actually one of the poorest countries in Europe in the beginning of the 20th century, but quite could actually be true, is that there was a Viking called Geirmundur Heljarskin. He lived on the west coast, and he had his mother was of Mongolian origin, and his father and they had very good relations in this area. At Borgarnes, the farm he was born at, the name of the farm was Borg, and he was born here in the year around 1000. He was a fearsome Viking. He was a giant. His saga from the 12th century is well preserved, and his legacy is well alive in the Icelandic society, and is probably one of the best written Icelandic sagas. They are roughly 20 in all, and were written in the 11th. But to write the sagas, they were written on calves. And we will only make a short stop here, maybe 15 minutes or so, just to stretch our legs, use the restaurants, and if you want to buy something to have on your...
Rest area pertama, men. Stretching dulu nih, stretching lutut. Yes, 10 menit kita dikasih kesempatan untuk.
The toilets are inside here. They are well marked. Okay.
Ya, ini rest area pertama yang disinggahi sama rombongan kita yang mau kemana? Peninsula. Anginnya gede banget tuh, lihat bendera di belakang gua. Bisa kelihatan kan bendera itu kencengnya kayak gimana. Jadi bisa kebayang gimana ini apa namanya angin di sini. Ya, angin laut. Itu banyak orang yang memanfaatkan waktu karena rest area berikutnya 1 jam lagi dari sini. Jadi harus dimanfaatkan apa namanya anginnya gede banget. Kita lihat di sana mungkin. Men, gue sudah bawa bekal masalah, cuman jadi gue nggak usah beli lagi bekal. Oke lah, gue masuk aja deh, dingin sih. Sini dingin banget, jadi gue harus masuk aja. Oke, gue masuk aja lah. Oh, too cold outside.
It is cold, isn't
Yeah.
it? Cold and windy.
Yes. Cold and windy. Oke, sini aja lah.
Of hay for the winter. In the mountains, that most of them points to the east, and that's because the island is made of 2 tectonic plates which are diverting on average annually 2 centimeters, and it is believed that in some millions of years Iceland will have space between those 2 tectonic plates. It's the lava that comes up from the magma field of the earth and fills it up, and then nature start to develop. So